All right, now we're going to continue to look at restaurant bills with tax and tip, also known as gratuity. And we looked at a video, or you should have watched a little video that showed the etiquette, or kind of like what is expected of us when we tip someone. The reason that we have to tip in North Carolina especially is that if you are a tipped employee, like a waiter or waitress, you're only paid by your employer $2.13 an hour. The rest of it should get tip. You should get tips to make up to the $7.25 an hour minimum wage. If you're not making enough tips to make minimum wage on a waiter or waitress job, then you need to have that conversation with your employer, because that is the law, that you have to be making enough tips to make at least $7.25 an hour. But we know when we get a good waiter or waitress, we may tip them even more. So we're going to look at this problem, and before we do, I need to change that because there is a mistake. It's 7.5% is the tax rate. As you can see right here, the amount of the bill for the dozen donuts and the box of Joe from Mom and Pa's Bake Shop, this is just an example, was $17.98. We learned in the last lesson to find the tax amount. We have to know how much the taxes are, so we multiply by our tax amount. So I'm going to put that in the calculator, 17.98 times 0.075, and that's $1. It's 1.3485. So we got $1.34, but that 8 rounds it up to $1.35. So it's $1.35 for the tax, and that's what you see there. And now you got to decide if you're going to give a tip to the mom and pop bake shop for what the service that they gave you. A lot of times you will see this right here. And this is a tipping suggestion. So it lets you know if you tip 15%, which is very common, you would put a tip of $2.90. If you wanted to tip 18% or 20%, that's what you would put down. So sometimes you don't even have to figure out the tip yourself. As the video is talking about, it's the good etiquette to sometimes tip nicer places. You tip more. But you want to tip at least 15% if you're at a restaurant that does good service. And so if I decided to tip 15%, I would have to add an additional $2.90 to my bill. And the way that they would have gotten that amount is they would have taken and put in the amount of the bill, and then they would have put in there the whole bill, which was $17.98 and $1.35. So $17.98, $1.35, 13 carry the 1, 13 carry a 1, $19.33. So that's $19.33. And if I take $19.33 and I multiply that by the tip, which is, if I use the 15%, I take $19.33, and if I chose the 15%, that'd be times 0.15. Putting that in my calculator gives me 2.8995. So that's $2.89. Rounded up, it would be $2.90. So that's where the tip would come from. So now what I have is I have my original amount of my bill, my tax, which moves me up to $19.33, and then I have my tip. So $19.33 plus the $2.90 tip, 22. I need to leave them $22.23. A lot of people will just round that $2.90 up to the closest dollar and just give a $3 tip and let that be done. But some people actually go by these suggestions that are listed here, and you have to just pick which one depending on your service and where you are. Here's another one. So here is the total. You have your subtotal was $24.48. We're going to multiply that by the 0.0775 because that's what your tax rate is. Letting you know where they're getting these numbers on a receipt. Of course, the cash register itself will give these amounts out. But you can always, some people check all their bills to make sure that they are right. So that's $1.89 with a 7 after it, which moves it up to that $1.90. So here's the subtotal now. They give it to you $26.38, and that is gotten from $24.48 plus the tax of $1.89. That gives us that $26.38. And from this $26.38 is what we do to find the tip. And here, when it says gratuity 18, that's an 18% tip. Gratuity 15 is a $3.67 tip. The way they're getting those numbers, let's say that we're going to choose the 18% tip. So we're going to take our total bill and multiply it by 0.18. 18%. Move the decimal 2 places to the left, or to divide it by 100. So I'm going to do $26.38 times the 0.18. That gives me $4.7485. Why would that not be right? Well, let's take the subtotal, $24.48 times 0.18. Times 0.18. And that gives me 4.4064. So did they use the total bill or the subtotal? Well, they used the subtotal to find the tip. So you can see that there's a difference in these two receipts. One receipt used the subtotal to find the tip, and one used the total bill with tax included to find the tip. So that's very interesting to note how the two receipts did things differently. Again, that's the reason we need to look at and know our math so that we'll know what's going on with our receipts. So now we've got this. So we have a decision to make. We had two different receipts doing it two different ways. This is our subtotal. It gives us our tax of $130. That's where the $16.20 comes from. So now I got to decide how much am I going to tip. This time, tipping suggestions are not listed. So when tipping suggestions are not listed, some people kind of just make a guess and say, oh, I'll just give them a couple dollars tip. Well, we want to make sure we're doing the right thing. We'll want to figure out the tip either at 15%, 18%, or 20%, 10%, whatever. You know, you can give a tip of any of these amounts. There are apps out there that give you tipping calculators that'll find your percentages for you. We're going to do our tips based on our subtotals instead of based on our total with tax. So we're going to do $14.90. I'm going to choose the 15% tax. That would be multiplying $14.90 by 0.15. That is 2.235. So remember, it's $2.23, but the 5 will move it up to $2.24. So that's what I'd write on this line here. I would, if I wanted to leave exactly 15%, $2.24. Again, some people would say $2. Some people would do a tip of $3. Some would do a tip of $2.25. But if we're doing exact percentages, my total bill for this time that I went out to eat here, and it says with some tea and some non-vegetable Taliel, whatever that is, it would cost me a total of $18.44. So here's another one. It's Frank's Restaurant. Got some garlic bread, some two diet drinks, 2 iced teas, 2 taste of NO, whatever that is, a whole muffin and Alfredo. But this is my total bill. That tax rate was 9.75%, So that's already been done for us because the tax is there. But if I wanted to figure out the tax, I'd have to multiply by 0.0975. And if I do that on a calculator, 0.0975, that is 7.775625. So it's 777, but that 5 is why it moves up to 778. Now, if I want to do a tip, let's say we're going to do a 20% tip because they did such a great job. So we're going to multiply by 0.20, which is move the decimal 2 places to the left, or divide by 100. So 79.75 times 20% is $15.95. And so now, instead of leaving them $87.53, I would want to add my tip to that. 8, 14, carry the 1, 13. It's $103.48. Again, most people aren't going to tip that much, but I guess if you had really good service, I just kind of made that up. You could. And also, others are not going to do $15.95 exactly. They're going to do round it up to $16, most likely. So what we're going to be doing today is these are the first 3 problems on your worksheet. For if you're in the classroom and the teacher's giving it to you. If not, it's in your notes. And you can do these with me. We got a restaurant bill that's $23 and a tax rate of 7%. So how much is the sales tax? So that's $23 times 0.07. So I'm going to do that on the calculator. $23 times 0.07. That's exactly 161. Tip rate, if I do a tip rate of 15%, remember we're doing it on the subtotal, which is the actual bill before taxes. So $23 times 0.15. Remember, this is only one way of doing it because we could do it using the tax, but we're just going to do that. So the amount of the tip, $3.45. So what's my total bill going to end up being? I have to take the $23, the tax of $161, and the tip of $3.45 and add them together. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my total amount spent is $28.07. If I'm running my bank card, that's how much is coming out of my bank. All right, if my restaurant bill was $83.23 and the tax rate was 8.5%, then I'm going to do 83.23. Remember, move 2 places to the left, or divide by 100 to get the 0.085. All right, so I'm going to put that in the calculator. 83.23 times 0.085. I'll do that again. I made a mistake in my input in my calculator, so I'm going to do that again. Hit 7.07455. Okay, and so here I have 707 with a 4 after it. So I am going to use 707. So far, my total bill is going to be $18.23, and the tax turned out to be $707. Now I'm going to do my 18% tip, so that's going to be $83.23. Move it 2 places to the left, or divide it by 100 times 0.18. Times 0.18, and that's 14.9814. So it's $14.98 with a 1 after it, so it's going to be $14.98 for my tip. I'm going to add that up. That's 10 and 8 is 18. Carry the 1. 9, 10, and 2. 12. Carry the 1. 10, 11. 15, carry the 1, 8, and carry 1. 105.28 is how much that would have ended up. All right, the last example, 92 and we have to multiply it. Remember, $92, and we're going to multiply it. We're going to move our decimal 2 places to the left, or we're going to divide it by 100. So 92 times 0.0675 is $6.21. Okay, and there was nothing else there. That was it, $6.21. 10%. There is a trick you can do with 10%. Not really a trick, but a mental math that you can do with 10%. But you move it 2 places to the left, or divide it by 100 to get 0.10. And when you get that, it's $9.20. You can notice that our total bill was 92. 10% of that, we just move the decimal 1 place. That's what you can do with 10%, but it's $9.20. So now I have my $92. That was my subtotal, $6.21 in tax and $9.20 in tip. So all together, it's $107.41. But again, a lot of people, are going to make a guesstimate. They're going to look at it. They're not really going to do that. Some people are going to use an app that has the tipping calculator on it. But this is how you do it with just math on. You would use a calculator and write your things down, or make yourself a note if you were at a restaurant, if you were checking over your bill to make sure it's correct. I would do that. Also, if you're estimating your tip, you might want to see if it's enough to be courteous and kind, respectful to the person who's serving you. Have a great day.